Welcome back, everyone, and today we have what's this here? Every time Peter Griffin deserved to go to jail. Now we know Peter has done some horrendous things all throughout this show. Now what exactly did he deserve to go to jail for? I wonder if what he did in the cutaways count, or I don't know. Maybe when he was pimping Quagmire out, in that one episode. Maybe he deserved to go to prison for that. What else? I mean, I can't remember anything else for now. I guess, let's just go ahead and watch the video and see, what that's about, Hope you guys are doing fine. Let's go ahead and watch this together.
These are 10 episodes where Peter Griffin deserved to go to jail. Starting at number 10 with an episode titled April in Quahog. We open the episode with Trisha Takanawa interviewing, and I quote, the only white guy who knows math better than her, Stephen Hawking. They discuss a recently discovered black hole at the edge of the solar system before the scientist gives up his act, ditches the chair, and goes surfing. And we're off to the races. While the super important scientific discovery is being discussed, Peter comes home with an equally super important announcement.
I have been selected. For what? Oh, nothing too important, just jury duty.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. When the family tells him he's not special since anyone can be selected, shocking, he tries to get out of his duty by using the surfing bird tactic. This doesn't get him kicked out, which is actually shocking as it's the most infuriating running gag this show has, so he's forced to sit through the trial. He gets home and immediately starts complaining about his day, but a news report about the black hole's expansion interrupts him.
Which means that all life on Earth will be destroyed within 24 hours.
The news rocks the residents of Quahog, so much so that everyone rushes to act out their final wishes. Some wishes are more disturbing than others, and some are unsurprisingly wholesome. Lois wants nothing more than for her family to spend their last day together, but Peter has his priorities elsewhere. Going to the zoo with a shotgun and stealing a lion. I mean, I can't lie, the lion is pretty cool. The next activity of Peter's final wishes is using a musket to save a Native American family from cavalrymen. The usual bucket list activities.
Damn!
After failing at that, he makes his last dying wish come true.
I'm gonna find a black neighborhood and see what happens if I yell the you-know-what word.
That is so inappropriate and offensive, and I think...
They respected me for saying it.
Oh, that is not where I saw that one going. But the time finally comes for the final minutes of Earth's existence, and Peter is only just returning home. Lois tears into Peter for having spent all day away from his family, and when she...
I don't remember. Whatever.
Asks him why he doesn't love her, he reveals the truth about why he disappeared for the day.
I just hate being around a kid.
It's a bad enough confession as it is, but it's only made worse when Tom and Diane announced that the whole report was an April Fool's prank. So this isn't awkward at all. Peter doesn't even try to backtrack. He just digs his grave even deeper by explaining why he doesn't enjoy being around the kids. Rightly so, they give him the cold shoulder the next morning when he tries to buddy up to them. Realizing that it's not going to be an easy job to win back their love, Peter brings out the big guns. He attempts to bond with Meg over her period. Just usual girl talk, I suppose? When that doesn't work, he goes to Chris with a story about his uncle, a bag of crystal meth, and an idea for a good time.
You sure that stuff is okay?
All I know is the guys who made it are dead.
Thankfully, Chris has his head screwed on straight and doesn't join his dad in that activity. But Peter is no closer to winning back his kids when he does the same thing in front of Stewie. He eventually caves and does what all parents do when they try to make up for a mistake.
Buy an Xbox.
But at the very least, he could have let them be the ones to play on the Xbox, given everything he put them through this episode.
Now, which one do I press to shoot now? Damn it. Yeah, crap.
Yeah, what a
Just
noob.
go back to the kitchen, Peter. Number 9 on the list is Papa Has a Rollin' Son, an episode where Peter's daddy issues almost ruin everything for Joe. With Father's Day coming up, Peter and the guys discuss the fact that none of them have met Joe's dad yet in 14 seasons. But there's a good reason for that. Joe and his dad are estranged and haven't spoken for years. Without asking any more questions, Peter contacts Joe's dad and invites him into town for the holiday.
Yeah,
it's a
without
nice
him
gesture,
knowing.
but a huge mistake.
Ever since I was a little kid, he was constantly making fun of handicapped people.
Even worse, Joe's dad doesn't even know his son's handicapped for this very reason. This is going to be one hell of a family reunion. Since it's too late to cancel the visit, the guys try to find a way to hide Joe's disability. Their ideas are terrible, to say the least. Tying Joe to a wild horse doesn't work, so they settle on a simpler plan. Get Peter and Joe to switch places for his dad's visit.
I barely recognize you. put on a little weight, haven't you?
Oh, he's one of those dads. Bud and Peter get on like a house on fire, bonding while on patrol together before coming home to see Joe's Peter struggling to get in the car. The insults from Bud were to be expected given what Joe told us about his dad, but what I didn't see coming was Peter joining in on the insults, even towards his own kids. Okay, that part I expected. Peter eventually makes his way over to his real home to tell everyone that their plan has worked. Only it's worked a little too
Did he really deserve to go to jail over this? I don't know.
Peter has offered to let Bud move in with him and Bonnie. Now, to give some context to his decision-making, Peter's got daddy issues. Granted, his daddy issues stem from having literally killed his own dad, but they're there nonetheless. He's going ahead with stealing Joe's dad. Everyone tells him how stupid his plan is, but that only leads Peter to twist the knife he stabbed into Joe's back even more.
You can't just take my dad!
Well, he's right next door. Nothing's stopping you from going over there and telling him the truth.
Peter's seen firsthand how horrible Joe's dad is towards handicapped people, so it's a low blow from the Griffin man. But it's full steam ahead for Peter as he makes the most of finally having a father figure in his life. He convinces Bud to go and play catch with him in the yard, like the grown man he is, but they're stopped by a struggling Joe trying to take out the trash. Bud tells Peter to go and tell Joe to go inside since watching is making him depressed, and Peter follows his request. Joe finally reaches boiling point when Peter refers to Bud as his own dad, multiple times, I may add, and ends up in a heated brawl with his friend. One's a cop, and the other is an overweight man in a corset. I know who my money's on in this fight. When Bud calls out his son for getting beat up by a guy in a wheelchair, Joe finally comes clean that he's actually his son. Like Clark Kent in any Superman movie ever, Joe takes off his glasses and suddenly becomes recognizable to his dad. Surprise! Bud comes clean about being ableist out of fear of it happening to himself. Not a good enough excuse if you ask me. But the two have a hard degree to work on rebuilding their relationship. All it took was Joe's supposed best friend to steal his dad, hurl insults at him about his disability, and voila! Dad and son are back together.
I love you, son.
I love you too.
I don't think that's actually deserving.
Sake, Peter, not now. Taking
jail.
the number 8 spot on the list is an episode titled Family Gay, an episode that I'm going to spoil none of with a title that good. Peter is given the simple task of grocery shopping, something he fails at miserably given he returns home after 6 hours with no beans but instead a brain-damaged horse. From smashing itself into the wall to peeing on the carpet, he already makes a better pet than Brian. Too harsh on the dog? So the Griffins are stuck rooming with a horse that sucks heads. Stewie's head. Jeez, guys, get your heads out of the gutter. But anyway, since the horse has nothing going on upstairs,
Bro,
there's
Peter,
nothing
what
he
the-
can do. Well, Peter does find one thing for it to do.
Some of the milk in the fridge is not milk, it's horse sperm.
I'm gonna give you a few seconds
Oh
to
my
really
God.
think hard about how Peter managed to get that milk from the horse. And there it is, it's just clicked. If that thought wasn't traumatic enough, Stewie makes it worse by consciously eating his cereal with the horse's special milk, knowing exactly what it is.
His special
if there was
milk.
any remaining doubt about his sexuality, I think it's just been erased. So Peter tries to get a more mainstream use out of the horse by entering it in a race, but given its brain damaged, it runs into the crowd and causes $100,000 worth of damages. Better yet, the horse suffered a fatal heart attack after the crash, leaving Peter with crushing debt and a dead horse. But he has a quick solution for that. I feel like I should contact PETA for this. To make money to repay the damages, Peter signs up to become a test subject for medical science and gets injected with a gay gene. And the results are hilarious. Hilarious to me, but not so much to Lois, who struggles to come to terms with now having a gay husband. But she starts coming to terms with his new sexuality when he begins displaying stereotypical behaviors.
I think I'm jealous if Miss eats anything she wants and still fits into a size 4. Oh, I can scratch your eyes out. Meow!
The compliments, shopping, and baked goods are great and all until Peter rejects her sexual advances. With no way to reverse the effects of the gay gene, Lois is left with a gay husband. Or she would have been had Peter not run off with his soulmate, Scott. Just a quick reminder, this is all happening in the same episode. Animal abuse, destroying Mort's pharmacy, leaving his wife. It's a 3-for-1. Seeing how depressed Lois is, Brian and Stewie try to fix the problem by kidnapping Peter and sending him to a straight camp that specializes in conversion therapy. We are all gonna have our opinions on this, but I think it's pretty safe to say there's not one character that comes out looking good in this episode. When Scott comes looking for Peter, Brian fesses up to what he did, and Lois decides to pull Peter out of the camp and let him live his life however he wants. Is this the first selfless thing I've seen Lois do? So Peter returns to his new homosexual life where Scott has organized a welcome home gift of an 11-way for him. I don't have a joke for that. In a case of the worst timing ever, the gay gene wears off in the middle of all the action.
Holy crap!
I guess you could say that Peter finished early.
It's pretty difficult to put in
Bro.
words how disgusted I am, how depressed I am.
Yeah, I'm not proud of that one either. Peter
Yeah,
returns home
what
and
the
vows
hell?
to never speak about the events again, but there's just enough time for one final moment of karma.
Damn, there's animal
American
abuse in there. It was
Gigolo
crazy.
is number 7 on the list, as the episode gives us Quagmire in a role he was truly born for.
Exactly. I
After
called it, bro. I knew it. This episode, like Peter pimping out Quagmire, bro. I knew it was gonna be in there.
Day of being on the picket line with his fellow pilots, Quagmire stops at a bar before heading home. He interrupts a bachelorette party where he's mistaken for the
he was a male stripper.
Fair misunderstanding given what he's wearing and the fact that he's Quagmire. He goes to correct them, but as the women make it rain, he sees no harm in giving in to the act. Fast forward to the guys' next night at the Clam, and Quagmire leaves early. That's worrying enough that Peter and the guys trail him all the way to the hangout and discover that Quagmire is working in a strip club.
I am in the full, upright, and locked position.
Quagmire's doing what he does best and looking good while he does it. Editor,
Damn it.
don't put a sus meme over that, okay? Don't make it weird. Damn it. Okay, moving on. Quagmire admits he's become less of an exotic dancer and more of a gigolo, getting paid crazy amounts for you-know-what. Later in the episode, Peter picks up Quagmire after he gets stiffed by a client who refuses to pay him. Not willing to let his friend be taken advantage of, he goes back in to annoy the woman into giving him the money she owes. Just remember that I said he doesn't want to let his friend be taken advantage of. It's going to come up later. Quagmire gives him a cut of the money for his help and asks
Pimping
Peter if he
him
wants to join him
out.
on more of his jobs. He basically asks Peter to be his pimp. It's fun at first until Peter starts overbooking him, leaving Quagmire exhausted. Now this is where my whole hypocritical taking advantage of Quagmire point comes in.
Look at the way he's dressed, bro.
Boy, you're going out if I tell you you're going out.
Oh,
Jesus, Peter, one Steve Harvey suit later and you're acting like this? Peter fully abuses the power he has in his new position, insulting, hitting, and overworking Quagmire. When Quagmire of all people starts complaining about sexual activities, then you know you've gone way too far.
Yeah, way
Peter
too
even
far.
forces Quagmire to work for his food. It's a textbook abusive relationship. The absolute worst customer that Peter forces him to work for starts asking Quagmire to do weird German things. Am I meant to know what that is? Give me one quick second while I Google that. Oh my god, no! Don't Google it! Maybe I should have put
Okay,
this
I
higher
won't.
on the list. Thankfully, Peter steps in before any of those things can go ahead and scar Quagmire for life. They still suffer a little trauma though, but it's nowhere near as bad as the original ass.
Yeah.
Peter does see the error in his ways and apologizes for getting caught up in the money aspect of it all. Since he's more forgiving than I would have ever been, Quagmire lets Peter off the hook and agrees to go back to being friends with the hopes of the pilot strike ending soon so he can get his job back.
Oh, the strike ended a month ago.
Peter! God, I feel like
God
I'm telling
damn
off a
it.
kid. As expected, Quagmire yells at him for letting him spend a month as a gigolo and not telling him, but Peter assures him he did. The Griffin man isn't lying, he did email Quagmire, just the wrong one.
Are you still GlennQ10 at AOL.com?
No.
Ah, well, there you go.
Would telling him in person really have been that hard, Peter? Taking the number 6
Yes,
spot
man.
is an episode I have to be extremely careful in how I pronounce. P-tarded. It's game night at the Griffin home, and Lois is set on letting her husband win their game of Trivial Pursuit by giving him the kids' questions. She clearly underestimates how dumb he is as he struggles through those questions, but he eventually wins after Lois asks him to say the word what. Yes, that was the actual game-winning question. Peter is insufferable after his win, boasting and bragging at all opportunities. Sick of hearing it, Brian challenges him to apply for the MacArthur Genius Grant where he could be rewarded for his so-called intelligence. So he takes the test needed to apply and gets his results back. They aren't what he wanted, but they're what we all expected.
According to this, you're not a genius. In fact, you're mentally retarded.
Peter doesn't take the news well at first, what with being treated like a kid now more than ever, but he finds an upside when he almost kills Tom Tucker, losing focus on the road. The news anchor is ready to lay into him until he realizes that it's Peter, the mentally incapacitated guy who ran him over. Talk about a get-out-of-jail-free card. Peter starts abusing his newfound power and gets away with everything from starting Bible fights to busting into women's toilet stalls. But arguably
Damn.
the worst of all is what he does to Lois as he tries to steal a deep fryer from the fast food restaurant. Not only does his actions leave Lois with severe burns, but they also lead to Child Protective Services taking the kids away since he's not mentally fit enough to be a parent. Luckily
hey.
for him, Cleveland offers to take in the kids while he works out what to do, but he doesn't exactly get off to a promising start.
Oh, God, hang on.
what
This is
the?
the man who has to win custody of 3 kids.
Facts, like what?
He's got this. Brian, being the only sane one left in the Griffin family, tells Peter that he just has to show CPS that he's a good parent, but Peter takes this to mean that he has to show how how bad of a parent Cleveland is, struggling to see the logic of that. So to do this, he invites a group of
they're just gonna
prostitutes
take them to
into
someone
Cleveland's
else,
home,
whatever.
while Stewie is with him and calls the CPS agent to investigate the situation. Like a reasonable adult, Agent Jessup sees through the ruse and continues to take Peter to trial. His case is pretty strong, given that Peter gave him plenty of examples of his bad parenting, but Peter's is even stronger. Introducing the ghost who never lies.
Well, would you kindly point him or them out for this court? Don't point at me, you jackass!
Wow. Just wow, Peter. I have nothing to say to that.
That's crazy.
After incriminating himself in the funniest way possible, Peter makes a heartfelt plea to the judge and narrowly escapes prison time, but he still doesn't get his kids back. But hey, it's all okay because Lois fully heals and brings home the kids, as well as the smell of grease.
Oh, I love you so much, delicious French fry wife.
So, no consequences for Peter for nearly killing Tom Tucker, his wife, invading women's bathrooms, framing his best friend, or, just anything he did in this episode. Nah, why would there be? Halfway marker now, and the Tan Aquatic with Steve Zizzo is the episode at the number 5 spot. Look, before I get into Peter's part in this episode, I have to talk about the main plot, which is Stewie becoming addicted to tanning after getting a sunburn while out with Peter. That's basically the whole plot, but it's too good not to include. Anyway, here's a clip of Stewie after Brian falls asleep and leaves him in a tanning bed for too long.
I've been in there for 6.5 hours, you son of a bitch! Don't touch me!
Okay, now on to the man of the 30 minutes that this video lasts. Herbert has a new paperboy and he's somewhat of a bully. He calls Chris a nerd, Herbert old, and rides off with having stolen all of Chris's customers. Chris tries his hardest to win back Herbert's love, but Kyle is already there with more insults and a beatdown. After seeing Chris come home with blood running out of his nose, Peter tells Kyle's parents what their son did and goes to talk to the bully. Like father, like son, Peter ends up the victim of Kyle's teasing and overall crappy attitude and retaliates by beating the hell out of him. Peter Griffin takes no prisoners, even when they're 13-year-old boys, apparently. Peter leaves Kyle bruised and bleeding and runs home, where he tries to play the entire situation
I like what he did
off,
there.
But when Lois gets a call from Kyle's parents telling her what he did, he hides in a tree.
He called me names!
You're 43 and you just assaulted our neighbor's child.
As she often has to do, Lois acts as Peter's parent and drags him around to apologize to Kyle, whose mom agreed to not press charges if he did so. Kyle and Peter patch things up by bonding over Legos, as well as having a deep conversation about what makes bullying so fun. Kyle's words encourage Peter to continue bullying people to feel good about himself. Not sure why we're taking advice from patch things up by bonding over Legos, as well as having a deep conversation about what makes bullying so fun. Kyle's words encourage Peter to continue bullying people to feel good about himself. Not sure why we're taking advice from someone who beat up your own kid, but you do you, Peter.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
Peter starts to bully and at times abuse Lois, Stewie, Meg, and worst of all, Joe, who he ties up and uses like a puppet. Not degrading in the slightest. Seeing how Peter has been acting, Lois tells her husband that he's no better than his own childhood bully, Randy Fulcher. This snaps Peter out of his act and convinces him to no longer bully the people he cares about.
I should be bullying Randy Fulcher!
No, you were so close to getting it, Peter. So Peter brings Chris along to teach him how to stand up to bullies by standing up to his own. Coming face to face with Randy Fulcher, Peter sees that he's getting around with crutches. Not that that stops him from threatening him. Randy tells him that he can't fight because he has MS.
You hear that, Chris? This guy's got a monkey scrotum and he's bragging about it.
I'm not saying anything. Peter goes in for the hit, but Chris stops him and teaches Peter a lesson that violence isn't always the answer. By beating him up. Punching teenagers, abusing your family, bullying disabled people. What didn't this episode have? Going into the number 4 spot,
Deserve to go to jail for that?
Shot in the dark. Peter and the guys start up a community watch when they realize their neighborhood isn't as safe as they thought after the couch they left in the garden gets stolen. Because this is America, Peter manages to get them guns within 10 seconds. So not only are they not trained, but now they're armed too. What could possibly go wrong? While on his first night watch, Peter sees a shadow figure trying to get into Cleveland's house. He asks him to step away multiple times, but when the figure doesn't, he fires a shot.
Are you like Junior? Mr. Griffin, you shot me!
Oh, this is a touchy subject. Peter goes to the hospital to apologize to the Brown family. That's their surname, stop it. But tensions only rise when Joe explains that the police force has deemed the shooting an accident. This is sounding a little too close to the truth to be funny. Outraged by the decision, Cleveland goes on the TV to call Peter's actions a hate crime, making him and the family the most hated people in Quahog. He makes attempts to prove that he's not a racist by playing basketball at the YMCA, painting himself brown to prove he's in touch with African American culture.
Oh my god. Peter. Bro, when he did this, bro, the way we Lois beat him, bro, it was so satisfying, bro. Like.
And worst of all, sharing a drink and cigar with Cleveland that ends up causing a house fire thanks to Peter's clumsiness.
Get your family out of that house! If they don't leave, they'll die!
So, without the context, you have to admit this doesn't exactly look good. Given all the events that have transpired, Joe places Peter under arrest for attempted murder when public outrage forces his hand. Carter offers to help bail Peter out of jail, but Cleveland Jr.'s testimony makes it a hard case to fight. Carter's lawyer tears down Cleveland Jr. for listening to Jay-Z, which apparently makes him a thug. He even goes as far as comparing him to Chris Brown because they share the same last name, and implies that the young boy would beat up Rihanna just like the rapper did. If I said this was a fair trial, I'd be lying to you all. Peter walks away free and Cleveland calls an end to their friendship. Probably fair, considering Cleveland and his family are now the most hated people in Quahog. Seeing the hatred that people are throwing at Cleveland Jr. appeals to the good in Peter, who goes to make things right by admitting he did shoot his best friend's son.
I just got scared and I did something stupid. I swear, it had nothing to do with the color of his skin.
Hearing how sincere Peter is, Cleveland realizes he really did shoot him by accident. So he steps forward and takes the blame for Peter to keep his friend from getting arrested. He lies and says he was the one who shot his own son, which should be the most shocking revelation of all time, but instead all of the news channels leave the scene.
Yeah.
You want to make the media go away? Just mention black on black crime.
There it is. That's your headline. The two friends make amends while taking a slow, hands clasped behind the back walk to discuss racism and the consequences of Peter's actions. His dad may have forgiven Peter, but Cleveland Jr. hasn't, as he tells Peter to watch his back.
I'm just kidding. Or am I? You're gonna wonder about that, you fat bitch.
Sleep with one eye open, Peter. Number 3 has us moving on to a truly bizarre expansion of Peter and Chris's father-son relationship in an episode
Oh yeah, he tried to marry his
son,
son, bro. Peter.
The episode starts with Chris trying to spend time with Peter, who makes it very clear where his interests lie.
Are you a television set or the internet?
No.
Oh, then no. No, thank you.
Chris makes multiple attempts to bond with his father, while Peter straight up lies to Chris about hanging out to avoid him, like agreeing to a fishing trip only to say,
Chris, I was just lying to you so you'd go away.
Ignoring his loved ones is and has always been Peter Griffin's MO, as cutaways show him also neglecting Lois's new haircut, then berating a neglected hairless twin he keeps in the shed. He's a beacon of family values, this one. Well, if Peter doesn't want to spend time with Chris, maybe his wealthy grandfather, Carter Pewterschmidt, will be more receptive. So a bedridden Carter spends his time bonding with his grandson over things like tracking racing pizza delivery drivers, creating their own garage band, and even learning a thing or two from Chris about certain pleasurable activities.
Damn it! Dude, this is too long, bro.
Latest offers. Activities that I can't
Too
say
long.
or YouTube will ban me.
Let me show you something.
That was amazing.
Amazing and quick, apparently. Carter eventually heals up
Okay,
and
what
tries
the
to offer
hell?
Chris some money for his troubles, but he turns the offer down. This impresses Carter so much that he names
Hold on.
Chris the sole.
Hold on. Let's start.
Heir to his fortune, and if you think Peter is going to take this news well, then congrats on watching your first Family Guy episode. You've got a lot to learn. Wanting to get in on that sweet Pewterschmidt money, Peter tries to suck up to Chris by dressing as him, watching a movie, and beheading Chris's school bully. Only that's not actually
Oh
bully,
my
it's the
God.
deaf kid at school.
Oh, that was sign language. I thought he was trying to defend himself with terrible karate.
No!
Whoops. When all that fails, Peter gets the bright idea to take their
Bro.
relationship to the next level. He proposes to Chris, stating that a man can marry any other man in Vermont. A quick Google search shows this isn't actually the case, but hey, who am I to find logic in a show where Meg takes baths with her brother and green whales beg for guns and books? Chris sees through Peter's intentions, but agrees anyway in order to finally get that happy, legally binding relationship he's always wanted with his father. One questionable divorce from Lois later, and these soon-to-be newlyweds head off to Vermont. The wedding almost goes off without a hitch, but Lois and the rest of the family come to break it up. Even when faced with the sheer idiocracy of the idea, Peter remains firm in his decisions. Peter finally realizes the error of his ways when Chris admits to having known his dad's intentions before agreeing to marry him, just so that he can spend some time with him.
And I guess I learned it's wrong to take your son to Vermont under false pretenses to try to marry him for his inheritance.
This episode is a clear example of Peter's selfishness and disregard for the happiness of his family. At least Peter isn't a real person like Woody Allen, who actually did marry his child. Have fun Googling that. Lottery Fever has taken the number 2 spot, with Peter's greed and stupidity almost pushing this to take the title. 20 seconds into the episode, not even past the intro music, and Peter's already messed up. One of the dancers is pregnant, and wouldn't you know it, it's Peter's. Does he do the right thing? Well, if he did, it wouldn't be on this list. He lies about her stealing from the show and has her removed before continuing on like nothing happened. So we get into the episode, and Peter asks Lois for a loan for his latest dream, to open a sushi restaurant purely so he can yell at customers as they walk through the door. Not that she would have given him the money for that anyway. Lois tells her they can't afford it as they're low on cash and need to watch their budget. As this is going on, Tom Tucker is revealing that the latest state lottery jackpot sits at $150 million. Give me jackpot noises, give me dollar signs, make it rain! They may be on a budget, but Peter goes ahead and buys thousands of lottery tickets.
Oh, yeah, that's when they wanted the lottery
mortgage on the house to do this. When Peter reveals the real lottery tickets, since he bought thousands as a test, Brian pulls one out that has all the winning numbers on it.
Yes, we won the lottery! I'm getting a piss butler.
That's what I would have gotten. Just kidding. Okay, whatever. I would have gotten one. Everyone starts listing off things they want with their newfound wealth, but Lois tries to rein them in and make sure the money doesn't get to their heads. It's too late for Peter, though, who's already bought a room full of gold coins to dive into like Scrooge McDuck, quit his job, and started buying rounds for everyone in the clan. But he does do some good with his money, too. He helps Quagmire out with a loan for an investment.
And that's when he started being completely different to his friend. Like, bro, the money really showed his true colors, bro. Like, that's when I knew, bro, Peter was not a good friend, bro.
Joe some money to buy Bonnie a nice gift. It's a short act of kindness, though, as the guys try to leave early and he guilts them into staying since he gave them money. Oh, yep, I see where this is going. As is becoming a running theme in this video, Peter starts to take advantage of his friends. He forces them to pre-watch shows for him to get him to the good parts and eat the worst parts of his food. But the worst of all is when he forces them to do a synchronized dance for him while he shoots them with a BB gun.
Hey, Joe, open your eye.
That was crazy. That was crazy, man. Like, I don't even know how Joe was still friends with Peter after this, bro. Like, wow.
You know, Peter, most people who win money just want a new car or house, not free reign to shoot their friends in the eyes. As they should, Quagmire and Joe walk away from Peter and his money, but not before Peter can get a shot in on Quagmire too. When Peter comes home with a golden tuxedo, Lois calls the family out for losing touch with reality, but she caves as soon as Peter gives her a diamond ring. That's why they're made for each other. While they're out for dinner, the family finds out that they've already blown through all their winnings. Back to being broke within a month, Peter walks into the clan with his tail between his legs and an apology to his friends. It's not a quick forgive and forget, as Joe tells Peter he now has a glass eye because they couldn't fix the one Peter shot. But, as per usual, everyone lets Peter off the hook, with Quagmire even offering him money to get back on his feet. Just once, I'd like to see some real consequences to this guy's actions.
Facts, bro. Some real consequences, bro. He deserves them.
Look, Lois, we all know what happened. We're all depressed.
Yeah, so maybe money doesn't solve all your problems, but it sure is nice to have. And here we are, the #1 spot, which of course had to go to Brian Griffin's House of Pain.
Oh my god.
This episode isn't even the main plot, but it's so unbelievably bad that it's winning this list anyway. After being rammed in the head with a toy spaceship one too many times, Peter tricks Stewie into following Rupert into the basement and locking him in there. Peter Griffin, a Parenting 101 course. While he's in the basement, Stewie discovers an old script of Brian's that's worth revising. This eventually leads to Brian getting a TV pilot with the script, but I'm not going into that. This video is about Peter, and one thing to know about me, if I don't have to talk about Brian, I'm not going to. Meanwhile, Chris is sneaking into Meg's room to read her diary. She catches him, and the two end up in a fight, accidentally knocking Stewie down the stairs as a result. As a 1-year-old, that kind of fall could be fatal. Meg and Chris panic about their little brother when he passes out, but since neither of them wants to get into trouble, they put him in bed and try to cover up his injury. It's a head injury. Go to the hospital.
Facts,
By dinner
bro.
time, Stewie is still unconscious, so Meg and Chris get inventive in how
he was unconscious for like 3 days.
Boy, he must be starving.
As the episode goes on, Stewie remains unconscious, with the head wound getting grosser by the minute. Honestly, be grateful that YouTube makes me censor this wound. It is nasty. Meg and Chris try to clean out Stewie's wound, but get interrupted by Peter. What's worse than the open wound itself is the fact that Peter so casually asks how long Stewie's been knocked out.
Bro, for real, he's been knowing, bro. And he hasn't said anything, bro. It's great. Because he said he's been doing the same thing to also these two when they were little, bro. Like, this right there just tells you how much, like, bro, he should have been, bro, he should have gone to jail, bro.
Even worse, he praises Chris for not letting Meg take Stewie to the hospital. Praises him! Since he's apparently knocked Meg and Chris out multiple times when they were babies, Peter gives Meg a list of hats to get to cover the wound up. As they all settle down to watch Brian's TV pilot, Peter brings Stewie down in an even less believable disguise. And yet, it works. Even after watching Stewie fall face first to the ground and Chris knocking the baby's head on each step, no one seems to notice anything out of the ordinary. What in the Sandra Bullock Bird Box crap is this? Since they haven't treated the head wound, they take off the bandages to see that. Jesus Christ, I can't look at that. Oh God, why can't this be censored for me too? Okay, moving on.
I remember all these, bro. This was so graphic.
As he calls it, which pushes Meg to the breaking point as she advocates to get her brother to the hospital. But Peter has one last plan.
Yeah, this was crazy, man.
Oh my god! Stewie!
No need to replay it, you really have just seen Peter throw his 1-year-old baby under a car. As though hiding a severe head injury wasn't bad enough, you really had to brutally throw him under a moving car also that you don't get blamed for anything. It's like a constant battle between Lois and Peter for the Parent of the Year award. He rushes over, showing nothing but concern, which only grows when Lois says that they should buy Stewie a hat and cover up what she's done. What is wrong with this family? They agree to take him to the hospital, and Stewie eventually
even she ain't shit. That's crazy. Hey, man, so that was crazy, man. Yeah, Peter definitely deserved to go to jail for some of these. I don't think all, but yeah. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think about this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.